I would like to close, if I may, by sharing with you the moment in my life when I learned most definitively the power that attends looking at the world through the eyes of a magician. You see, my grandfather was a magician. He wasn't famous, so you've never heard his name, but he was actually the guy who showed me the torn and restored paper. When I was about 12 years old, I was rummaging around through my attic at home, and I came across this old box. My mom said it had belonged to my grandfather, and the things I found inside changed my life. They were very intriguing. Some of the most intriguing items weren't magical, but they were photographs. These are pictures of magicians that apparently my grandfather was friends with. Some of these magicians are famous. This, for example, is a man who was a superstar in the 1920s and 30s. Now, some of the grown-ups know who David Copperfield is, right? Okay, in the 1920s and 30s, this was David Copperfield, if that helps. His name was Howard Thurston, big star. This is a guy named Dave Vernon. In his day, he was the preeminent card magician on the face of the planet. Pretty good with coin tricks, too. I don't know who this guy is. I think he's a magician. I'm assuming he's a magician. He's covered with bunnies, so I hope he's a magician. He must have done the bunny trick, I guess. If he's not a magician, this picture is pretty hard to explain. I also found some old newspaper articles. This one is called Wonder Worker Amazes Crowd. That's the headline there. This one says, Showman Sells Out. It was a lot of fun to read about what journalists thought of my grandfather's show. But the most astonishing item I found was this. To think that this was the very wand that my grandfather used in his show. Well, I don't know what else a 12-year-old needs to fire his imagination. I also found this old scrapbook. I didn't give it much thought at the time because there wasn't anything in it. But it did occur to me that maybe one way I could honor my grandfather's memory would be to organize those pictures and articles into the scrapbook and maybe finish the project that obviously he contemplated when he bought the thing. For some reason, he just never got around to doing it. My problem, though, was that with the exception of some of those famous magicians, a lot of these are pictures of people I'd never heard of before. So I didn't really have any good idea of how to organize the scrapbook. And that's when my mom came along and she gave me some very good advice. She said, if you don't know where you're at, then any place is a good place to start. She suggested that I just throw those pictures together randomly, take them out randomly, jab them into the scrapbook. And she was quite certain that whatever I came up with, my grandfather, if he were still alive, would be delighted that anybody gave his scrapbook any thought at all. So that's what I did. The thing about it is, I was already in way over my head. I just didn't know it yet. Because you see, I never even got a chance to take those pictures out. They vanished before my eyes. And the next time I looked through this scrapbook, it was full of pictures of old magicians. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thanks, guys. What? Nice job. Good work, fellas.